What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Lamont's Gym and Custom Knives Show, the number 3 podcast. I don't have my handy dandy notebook today, but I do have 3 things I want to touch on. I'm going to cut them short. I found out, cutting things down a little bit, not rambling, people pay more attention to you. So, the first thing I want to get into today, y'all, have you noticed or have you been seeing on the news all these things dealing with the airplanes? I want to say in Denver, and I can't remember the other city. An individual was swept up into the engine, and that caused havoc, for the airplane, for the pit crew, for the passengers. I think in both cases, passengers had to be evacuated. I can't talk this morning. In both instances, passengers had to be evacuated. And why would excuse me, the at the locations where these instances happen, there's like no one's allowed. It's easier to get into the White House than it is to get into these areas, the takeoff and the landing part of the airports. It's crazy. Um, I saw one. I want to say this was in New Jersey or New York, where a plane, I think, was landing and clipped a power pole or something. And not sure if anybody was injured or hurt. I don't think so. But I listening to some experts, the crew of the plane was at fault. For that. If you go back to the beginning of President Trump's second term, the FAA and airports and airplanes and pit crews, pilots, these people was being scrutinized for the simple fact that DEI had got a lot of them their jobs, especially in the FAA and most of these pilots, and I agree with that. DEI, put a lot of people in those places, but in today's world, 2026, why would you just walk out on I think they call it tarmac. I'm not familiar with airports and airplanes because I don't fly. That's a part of the world that I have nothing to do with. But why would you walk just out on the area where the planes are taking off and landing? That is crazy. Hopefully they can do some investigations, find out who these people were and their intent. Because to my knowledge, these just ordinary Joes. These ain't like they were part of the airport or nothing like that, or got lost. No, these are just, I don't know. We will revisit that at a later date once we learn out some information. Number 2, it is, before I get into the second subject, let me just say, let's say a prayer for the young man. I think he's out of Mississippi. He played with Southwest Louisiana at one point, and I think this past season he played with Missouri football program. He was shot and injured at a concert or something like that. Um, he went through surgery. He's stable right now. So let's just say a prayer for this young man. I don't know his name. Matter of fact, the source I got this from didn't have any information other than his name and that he was shot. So, and that he was in stable condition. So, let's keep these people, the university, the family of this young man, in our prayers as we go on out through the day. And I want to give a shout out to the University of Texas softball. They beat my Crimson Tide 7-1 in the SEC championship game. I told you I love college softball, love it. Definitely love the SEC, and you had the number 4 versus the number 2, with Texas being 4, Alabama 2. I think Oklahoma was 1. So there's no clear favorite in this league. They're all good, y'all. From top to bottom, they're all good. Um, and I think they got pretty much a good chance of getting a bunch of teams in the World Series. So, well, you know what I'm saying, leading up to the World Series, the regionals, I think they call them. So let's just keep the young man in our prayers. Congratulations to Texas girls softball and all of SEC softball. The second thing I want to get into, y'all, we are still fighting the battle of mental illness in this country. And I mean, it's on a whole nother level now. But not deep diving off into the causes of the mental illness, and we all know what it is. It's brain. Most of these people have been brainwashed and indoctrinated, but something interesting happened. So there was a ship that was quarantined, and I think, but for the HEPA virus, and I think a lot of passengers were sent home to New Jersey. I want to say, well, this morning I heard that they were landing in Nebraska for some reason. And listen, when I talk about stuff like this, I get my sources from Fox News. So you can always go back to Fox News if I made a mistake or misquoted something or somebody. But you got some people out there, and this is where I bring in the mental illness. You got some people out there, and someone was videotaped that saying that we finna have another COVID, wearing a mask inside of her car. Now, come on, let's use your brain. HEPA virus is caused by the droppings of rodents. If I'm not mistaken, like when there's a bat infestation, you have to, when you call the cleaning crew, they have to go in there with hazmat equipment because of this particular virus. Bat is a rodent just like a rat. So this is something serious. But to my knowledge, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a chemist or scientist, I don't think it's human to human contamination. I don't think it could be passed from human to human. If you're in an area where a bat has dropped a lot of what they call bat droppings, guano, or rats, done crapped everywhere, you are not in any type of trouble. But you got people out there that are running around with masks on again. And I think in their mind, they see another COVID. They fear another COVID. And y'all, that's so sad, man. A lot of these people, I think, and I put this in a podcast a while back, that, a lot of things it's like a Hollywood production. But I think in a lot of people's mind, they're so sick and so indoctrinated that they really do think these things. This was real. And these people are real that are running around with masks on. Talking about mask up. Y'all, it's not, I can't breathe on you and give you the HEPA virus. I just can't. So, listen, read up on it, do your research if you don't believe me. Like I said, I get my sources from Fox News, most of it anyway. Listen, is it serious? Hell yeah. And you've had 3 people to die, and I think one is in serious condition right now. Not sure if this person's in Nebraska or New Jersey. That information has been kind of wobbled because I got the early information from the TV Fox News, and I got the second part of the information from the radio version of Fox News. So I haven't been able to put them together. I just know it is serious, but y'all don't run around with masks on unless you live in a house that's infested by bats or rats. Yeah, and you need to call a cleanup crew for that. So, listen, I gave shout out to the girls softball. Said a prayer for the young man who was shot. So I'm not gonna get into the third subject. I'm gonna leave that for a later podcast. I'm gonna cut this one short, and I appreciate you guys paying attention to me. Before I get up out of here, I just want to say I thank you for the love on one platform, and I can't remember if it was Twitter or Rumble. I have to go back and look at the numbers. It may have been YouTube. I one of my shorts went viral, and I really appreciate you guys for that, for even looking at it, paying attention to it. I think it was a Mother's Day tribute to my mother. I visited my mother's grave, my father's grave, and I gave tribute. And that particular video went viral. And listen, I'm not here to go viral. I'm not here for clicks and likes. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm about. I'm here to pass off information to anybody who, I've run into a lot of people who say, I love watching podcasts. So if you love watching podcasts, you love watching my stuff, I'm here to just share information. There's millions of sources you can get this crap from. But if you choose to watch me, I appreciate you and I love you. And I appreciate everybody who clicked on that video or that short. I really do. From the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate it. But anyway, you guys stay blessed. I love you and I appreciate you. And as always, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you keep him first. And I'll catch you next time.